Loki, you crazy.
Lifetime. Every night. Right. Welcome to another episode of Mentors Mentality. I am Sabelo Hlongwane, and I am otherwise known as Coach Sabza. Today's topic is a very big life lesson for me. One of my favorite life lessons at that, and that is balance, right? To better emphasize balance, I will use examples like any other episode that stem from my soccer life experience and how that benefited me in life later on while I was engaging in other things that life had to bring, right? So balance is something that also contributed to the birth and existence of LUFOYSports, my non-profit organization, which is what I happen to be wearing today. And I say that to say LUFOYSports focuses on producing the ultimate student athlete, right? So student first, athlete second, and that is really our goal. Our desire is to help have not only a very good student with a great grade point average, but to also have a very good sportsman or woman, one that can reach the highest level in whatever sport that they are passionate about. So balance is key in that aspect of, can you do good in school and can you do good on the field, right? There's other elements like your character or characteristics, traits that are positive. Are you coachable? Are you for the community and about the community? And do you think of the next generation? And do you want to leave the world a better place than what you found it? All these things are elements that we at LUFOY try to mentor into anybody that we work with, be it private sessions, club coaching, or in college and beyond, professional players too. And so I'm going to touch on some life experiences. Like I said, I remember when I was young and I had my mother's support in sports, so she would always encourage me to play, love playing, keep playing, and she would come to my games. Whereas my father, he was more of an academic, so he would always emphasize the importance of education and doing good in school. And so naturally, I had that balance. I didn't realize it at the time, of course. I was just living life and, I'd talk to my dad like, I just want to play. And, I would never want to do my homework. And I wasn't really into school. And I think that's really why, looking back, I'm grateful for how my life played out and how things worked out for me in the long run, because it's those experiences that showed me over time where I was wrong and what I could do better and how I could mature and so forth. So I remember my oldest brother, he was a great soccer player. Watching him play at a young age was amazing. He's one of my inspirations in the sport, along with many others. But he was good enough to go pro at the age of 15, right? And so my dad was not keen on accepting that lifestyle or life for him. And so he just told him, I think it's best for you to focus on school. And in my dad's defense at that time, it was a common thing for academics and education to be the pathway to success, right? And so along with that, there was also stereotypes that went against being a soccer player. The belief is that if you're a soccer player and you're good, you're probably not smart or good in school. right? And so the funny thing is, you would see or hear like soccer players, egotistically so, or in defense, they would say, well, you're good in school, so you're more than likely a terrible soccer player, right? And so LUFOY stands to counter both. Neither are correct in LUFOY's perspective, and so that's why we exist, right? And it wasn't until I graduated high school, and I wasn't really focused on school, but I wasn't a bad student. I wouldn't say I was a bad student, so I wasn't really doing all that I could in my classrooms, but I knew that I would pass, and I did pass. But I was so focused and dedicated to soccer that I was okay neglecting everything else. I lived the sport, right? And so it wasn't until I moved to America on a soccer scholarship when I learned and saw what it means to balance, the two. And so that's where my first lessons of, the topic of balance, I would say, started to get tested. And I remember at a point I was under academic probation. And I mean, I was a great player, right? Had offers from Colorado Rapids. In my second year of college, I was scoring as many goals as I was assisting. I was player of the year. So the soccer side of things, to say, like, I was doing great in that, but not in school, right? Because growing up in that stereotype in South Africa, I always feared that if I gave school a lot of time, I would start lacking in soccer, right? Because the concept of balance, like I said, it was far-fetched. It was never even introduced to us. So we wouldn't know it to exist as a youth. And so when I was under academic probation, it was only then that, I now had no choice but to find a way to make it work and balance academics. But at first, what I did, I neglected soccer to do better in academics and focus on that. And, I got my grades up. I started doing projects ahead of time. I became a straight A student, and only after I would do what I needed to do academically would I then make time for soccer. So I'll give you an example. In, like, let me say, pre my probation, my academic probation, I would get a project. So the professor would say, this is the due date of the project. And then, okay, I know the deadline. And so I would wait until 3 days before the project, right? Let's say that. And then I would put in all this effort. And the day before or the night before, I'd be stressing and just touching up the project, knowing that I could have done better. And then I'd submit it and I'd get like a C, mid to low C, sometimes a high C, B if I'm lucky, right? But never an A. And then I realized the difference when I was under academic probation. I changed that to where if a professor gave me a project or let's say an essay to do and I knew the deadline, I would put in the effort, same amount of effort that I would on, 3 days before. I would put that effort in the day I got the project. So I'd do all the research that I needed to do and make all the notes that I needed. And then I would reward myself for taking the initiative of starting, and I would go and, train, focus on soccer. Then the next day or within the next 2 days, I would touch on the project, do a part of it, rough draft it, and then focus on soccer. And then 2 days after that, I would go back to the project and I would do a second rough draft, and I would maintain this routine until, or rather this balance, right? Until maybe 3 days before the project is due. And then 3 days before it's due, I would give it my all the same way I would pre my academic probation. I would work, and try to do good in it. And then I noticed my grades started to change, and I was now getting A's, either A plus, A plus plus, whatever you may label it as, to at worst a high B. But I became a straight A student in that sense, and I graduated with a business degree, and I was very happy to have learned that lesson through soccer and how that could benefit me in life later on. And so when I graduated, I had the luxury now to focus on nothing but soccer without the pressure of academics. But the lesson of balance was learned from there. And so I even remember times where I'd be sitting in class in my senior year. And at this point, I'd already thought of LUFOY and wanting to do LUFOYSports and the reasons, right? Because I'd learned so much and I just wanted to share and help those that would be coming up after me in similar, the same experiences. And so I would sit in class and I'd go to marketing, motivated in marketing because I'd be doing marketing for LUFOY, international business class. I'd be sitting in there thinking about how is international business going to benefit LUFOY. I'd be in accounting, not a great accounting student. And so I was motivated to want to be good at accounting for LUFOY purposes, right? And all the while, I still made time to train and stay healthy. And the balance became more of a lifestyle, right? And now I will take that and say, it makes me know and believe and trust that balance in anything in life is important, be it friendship, relationship, be it, just health, isolation time. You need time alone. You also need time to be with people. And, I think a fine balance is better than one more than the other, because one more than anything can always, become overbearing. You can burn out. And when I have clients in LUFOY in private sessions, I always try to emphasize the importance of balance, of just the body alone without the soccer ball, and the importance of having the soccer ball. So making time to train your body without the ball and train with the ball, the two complement each other as opposed to always with the ball. They say always have a ball in development. You also need to make time to better understand your body so that when you bring an outside force or anything like that, you can, understand the difference between the two. And I'll make random examples just to emphasize the importance of balance and say for every time you eat a lot of candy and intake all that sweet stuff, you better be taking in some salt too, right? Now, health-wise, I can't say that's a good example, but it's to emphasize the point, right? And one that I really like saying is, water is a healthy substance and you need that for your body to function on a day-to-day. However, too much water and you could drown, right? And that one always it's funny, but my main thing is, can I get through to the student, or can I get through to the client, the player, the athlete, and make them understand the importance of balance? And down to even, I'll use relationships as an example. I think it's more attractive, or it's easy to be attracted to someone who makes time for themselves, because you can see who they are and that attracts you, as opposed to somebody who's just all about you all the time, because that could overwhelm you. So the importance of, having somebody like that allows you to also make time for yourself when they make time for themselves, and make time for them when they make time for you. And so that makes for a better relationship, because you can learn from one another's different experiences, teach each other. You don't burn out from each other. And so, I could make many other examples that emphasize that point. But balance to me is probably one of my biggest life lessons. And I'll use the example, a last example, I would say, with my daughter. I try my best as a father to be present and from the way that I was raised, I sometimes think I'm a little too strict. And so I struggle with, when should I be open to being fun and having fun with my daughter, and when do I need to be strict, and finding that balance, because I never want my own child to not open up to me or talk to me because they fear me, right? And at the same time, I don't want my child to disrespect me because they think, we're friends and that's it. So having that fine balance is like key to me, ensuring that I'm not always too serious to the point where I'm not approachable to my kid. But I always have to make sure there are boundaries so that she also learns from me and respects me as a parent, and understands that, I have the best interest for her, even though it doesn't seem like it. So, I learned that lesson from something as simple as sports and soccer, right, through passion. And now I see how balance in that has, trickled on to so many other things in my life. And I'm forever grateful for that. And so I just felt it was a very important message to share. And, hopefully you learned something from everything I've had to say today. And I mean, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know an experience, for example, where you learned balance, or what you did to learn balance, or what you went through. And I would love to, read that, hear from you, and see what I can maybe learn. As much as I would like to teach you, I hope you could teach me too. And, as I always say, leaving the world a better place than what we found it is key for me, and I say that because I care for the next generation, because that's the world that I have to leave my child with and in. So, the best that I could do is make sure that it's a better place. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode. It's Mentors Mentality, as always, with me, Coach Sabza. Thank you for your time.
Damn, Floki, you crazy.
Lifetime. Every night. Outside.